In this video, we're going to talk about 5 of the most common wear and tear items that can leave you without heat in the middle of winter on your boiler system. And we're going to explain what the purpose of each of these components is. And at the end of this video, there'll be a link to another video about some of the boiler install best practices that we follow on every install and some of the various components we replace and why we replace them. Now keep in mind, some of these components will be covered in this video as well, so there might be some redundancy there, but it is still worth checking out because it talks about the components you should change on a boiler system when you're replacing a boiler and why you should replace them. And if you're tuning into the channel for the first time, consider subscribing. We put out daily and weekly content on how you can get the best HVAC for your home, and it's a free way you can support the channel, and it is much appreciated. The first and probably one of the most common service calls we get on a boiler system that will leave you without heat is a faulty zone valve. Now, a zone valve serves 2 purposes and how they interact with your boiler system. The first thing they do is they open and close the valve based on a call for heat from the thermostat. Now, when the zone valve opens, it allows water to flow through the zone, therefore providing heating on an on-demand basis to each individual thermostat. The second thing that a zone valve does is it signals the boiler to turn on by closing what is called an end switch. Now, when this switch closes, it completes the circuit and tells the boiler to fire, and the controller inside the boiler or the ignition control module will fire on the boiler and also turns on the pump at the same time. Now, when your zone valve fails, the symptoms are typically that one zone isn't working, meaning a zone isn't receiving heat, but it can also be that the boiler never stops firing because sometimes the end switch can get stuck closed, meaning that the boiler thinks there's a call for heat even when there isn't one. Now, before you start replacing a zone valve though, thinking that that's the trick because either of those 2 symptoms sound familiar, watch for the rest of these components because they all have overlapping symptoms, and you may want to make sure that you're not just throwing parts at the situation and diagnosing it properly from the start. So that's the most important thing to keep in mind. And that one thing to keep in mind with the zone valve, when it does typically fail, most zone valves are in the system are the same age. So if one fails, it's likely that the other ones are right around the corner. This is why I typically, in this scenario, if we're doing a boiler system refresh, we will replace all the zone valves at the same time if they are around the same age or condition. Typically, the longest a zone valve will last is about 20 years, but average I would say is somewhere around 10 or so. Now, number 2 is your Aquastat relay, and the Aquastat relay, like the L8148E, is the control logic that controls communication between the thermostat, zone valve, and boiler. Typically, this is what tells your pump to turn on, off, and is wired to your pump and your boiler, and it's also what tells the boiler to fire on and off, depending on how your control logic is set up. Now, keep in mind, if you have a newer boiler that was installed in the last 10 years, for example, chances are it will have this internally in the form of a PC board instead of a traditional external Aquastat relay like the model I just mentioned. The bottom line is if the boiler isn't firing on, or if the pump isn't turning on, or some of the other components aren't communicating, that oftentimes means it can be directly related to this, but you want to have a technician look at it first and make sure that you're checking to ensure the system has proper power, so that way you're not replacing your Aquastat relay when in actuality the relay is fine and the pump is bad or some other component is out. For example, if there's no power going to the system, that's most likely an issue with incoming power supply versus a fried Aquastat relay. Which brings me to item number 3 that goes bad and will leave you without heat, and that is a boiler pump. Now, your boiler pump is what runs and circulates water through the hydronic piping in your home. So when the pump goes out, the boiler might still kick on and it still might be reaching its set point of 180 degrees, for example, but if the pump isn't circulating hot water through the house, it's not actually heating your home. Now, this is typically pretty easy to diagnose because if the pump is receiving 120 volts or 240 if you happen to have a 240 volt pump. Now, that's going to be more common overseas in Europe, for example, but if it's receiving power and it's not circulating, then assuming there's nothing wrong with your piping and a ball valve could also be closed or something like that, and that could be preventing circulation, for example, then you basically have to check for power, and after confirming that the pump has power, you can confirm the diagnosis that the pump does need replacement. Typically, like I said, this is going to be done by a technician, but there can technically be other things causing water not to circulate. So that's why it's not necessarily the pump just because you're not getting circulation. So I always rule out things like airlocks in the system, and sometimes the pumps can have built-in check valves. So if something was installed recently or installed improperly, that can cause this type of issue as well. Which brings me to issue number 4, and that is a bad air eliminator or bleeder vent. Now, depending on the type of air eliminator you have, it may or may not be a serviceable component. For example, the Honeywell air eliminator assemblies that have a threaded connection for the expansion tank on the bottom have a serviceable float valve inside that can be removed and replaced if it ever goes bad. When an air eliminator goes bad or a basic bleeder vent fails, all that happens is that air builds up in the system over time, and if it gets bad enough, you would get river noises or gurgling water types of noises in your system when it is running. For the most part, your boiler should be silent when it's running, although when it first fires up, oftentimes you might hear pipes creaking, especially in older homes. And if your baseboards get dirty, the fins can also make excessive noise because you are not getting proper convection across the piping, and it tends to sound like crinkling or popping metal, for example. It's honestly kind of hard to describe the sound, but the bottom line is if you look inside your baseboards and see that your baseboard radiators have very dirty baseboards, it doesn't hurt to just pull off the covers and vacuum them out. Not only will this improve your heating efficiency, but it will also reduce some of the noise as a side effect because you'll be getting better convection. But a bad air eliminator can eventually cause enough air to build up in your system to where you get airlocks in certain sections of your home. Typically, this will occur in zones that are on the top floors because air will rise inside of a boiler system over time, and this is what happens when you have a bad air eliminator. And before we talk about the 5th most common boiler component failure, please make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and post a comment in the comment section below if you found this content helpful so far. Do you still have questions, or what types of questions are you having related to your current boiler system? Do you have current issues that you need addressing? I love hearing about what brings people to the channel and what problem they're trying to solve, so I'm always curious on what project you're working on in the moment. So post a comment in the comment section below and we will respond, and also use that to make content that's relevant to you. And the 5th and most common component that causes issues is probably something you may or may not have expected, and that is the pressure reducing fill valve. Now, the pressure reducing fill valve is what maintains a constant supply of fresh water into the boiler. Now, your boiler should not be filling up with water constantly. It's actually a closed loop circuit. So the only reason it should really fill up or top off with water periodically is if there's a leak, which is not a good sign. However, the reason that your pressure reducing fill valve is going bad, and the reason it can cause issues with the boiler, is because if the boiler pressure drops below 12 psi, often it can trip a sensor in the boiler circuit called a low water cutoff, especially if the boiler gets low on water, obviously. Oftentimes this happens in conjunction with a bad pressure relief valve that has started to leak and has developed a slow drip due to calcification from hard water and mineral deposits on the diaphragm. But the bottom line is that without adequate water, your boiler will not function properly. And I'd like to leave you with a bonus component failure that we always find, but the difference is that this component, when it fails, often does not cause the boiler to not work, but it does have unwanted side effects, which I want to talk about now, and that is your expansion tank. Now, the video that will be linked at the end talks more in depth about the expansion tank and why we replace this item on every install, which is why it's part of every boiler trim kit. But the main reason we always check the expansion tank on every boiler tune-up or annual maintenance is because oftentimes the diaphragm goes bad and the expansion tank fills with water, which means that the expansion tank actually isn't providing any room for expansion or contraction when this happens. Instead, your expansion tank is essentially just a tank full of water, and although the system may run like this, oftentimes the pressures make it out of range or close to running at 30 psi, which is the maximum pressure allowed on most residential boiler systems. And if your system stays like this long enough, it will eventually cause unnecessary wear and tear and lead to further problems down the road. So we hope you enjoyed this content, and if you did, please make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you happen to be in one of the areas we service, like Denver Metro or Colorado Springs, you can actually schedule an appointment with us for free. We come out for free for all first-time customers, whether that's for a service call or annual maintenance, or if you're just looking for an estimate for system replacement. And there's a link actually in the description below where you can schedule online at your convenience, as well as an up-to-date list of the cities and states that we service, so you can stay up to date when we start servicing your metro. And as promised earlier, right now there's a few videos popping up on the screen, so make sure you check those out if you haven't done so already, and we will catch you on the next episode.